Mr. Speaker, I yield four minutes to the gentlelady from Texas, a member of the Judiciary Committee, Ms. Jackson Lee.
Gentlelady from Texas is recognized for 4 minutes.
I thank the ranking member of the subcommittee, and I thank the manager and as well the full committee chairperson and the ranking member of the full committee. I think it would not be inappropriate to acknowledge that many of us are gathered in the Judiciary Committee to wish Congressman Mel Watt well, and I will do so on the floor of the House. I am supporting this bill and again offer my appreciation for the Crime Subcommittee's bipartisan effort to look into our problem with criminalization at the start of the Congress. But I am concerned that there are a number of issues that were not discussed, but that this particular legislation is an important step, which I know that Mr. Scott has worked on quite extensively. The bill before us today works to, in essence, requires states that receive certain criminal justice assistance grants to report to the Attorney General on a quarterly basis certain information regarding the death of any person who is detained, arrested, en route to incarceration, or incarcerated in state or local facilities or a boot camp. H.R. 1447 also imposes penalties on states that fail to comply with such reporting requirements. The bill also requires the head of each federal law enforcement agency to report to the Attorney General annually certain information regarding the death of any person. My focus is to indicate that this is a practical initiative. I personally know that in jurisdictions in Texas, we have had incidences where individuals have gone into the county jail for minimal violations of the law and came out in a body bag. It happened to a mother of 2 sons who lost her life because an infected knee was not taken care of. Or individuals who were ill, individuals who succumbed to inappropriate behavior by those who had charge over them. It's happened in jails and prisons across America. This is a life-saving initiative because many people will acknowledge that if you're incarcerated, even if you are there as in our county jails before you are convicted, certainly we recognize the criminal justice system, but it does not mean that you should lose your life. However, as we come to the end of this first year of the 113th Congress, I know my colleagues would recognize as well that we are experiencing 1 year of the tragic incidents that occurred at Sandy Hook. There will be those who will be mourning this afternoon, holding a memorial to acknowledge the tragedy of the lives lost. In this Congress, to our dismay, we've not been able to pass the universal background checks, which could readily be on the floor of the House and be of value to those mourning mothers and fathers who now mourn 1 year later and ask the question, why? In addition, we have seen over the last year in many of our jurisdictions the excessive violence that has taken up our young people through gun violence, through gangs and other actions that would welcome this Congress exercising its authority on issues dealing with anti-violence, anti-bullying, of course, and again, the ceasing of gun violence. I look forward to establishing a commission in my community responding to the incidences of 19 individuals being shot and 2 teenagers being killed, a young man from Jack Yates High School being killed, and another young man shot in a park. And so as I rise to support this legislation, I would simply argue as we move forward on this legislation that there's work to be done, and I hope we can join together in a bipartisan manner to do so. I hope my colleagues will vote and support H.R. 1447. I yield back.
Time, gentlelady, has expired.